Welcome everyone. My name is Tracy Glenn and I'm one of the organizers of the Human Rights and Media Lecture Series that is being organized by the Atlantic Human Rights Center, St. Thomas University's Department of Human Rights, St. Thomas University's Department of Journalism and Communications, the MB Media Co-op, and Raven, Rural Action and Voices for the Environment. So I do want to begin by acknowledging that I and the organizers for today's lecture are on the stolen territories of the Wolastoqey, Passamaquoddy, and the Mi'kmaq, and that these lands are bound by the Peace and Friendship Treaties signed between the British Crown and the Indigenous peoples of the Wabanagi region from 1725 to 1779. The treaties of peace and friendship did not involve the Indigenous peoples of these lands ceding or surrendering any land. Rather, the treaties did establish terms of peaceful coexistence, recognizing Indigenous peoples of the region as sovereign. So this winter, the Human Rights and Media Lecture Series has discussed timely events in relation to the media. We've heard from scholars of the media and the law, journalists and other media makers, lawyers, grassroots activists on how our media landscape is changing. These speakers have told us what they're doing to make our media landscape a more safe, just, and equal space. If you've missed these talks, no worries, you can find most of the talks on the MB Media Co-op website at mbmediacoop.org. So I just want to thank the many hands that went into organizing this series. I want to thank especially Aditya Rao with the Atlantic Human Rights Center and the MB Media Co-op, Shannon Brooke Murphy with the Atlantic Human Rights Center and St. Thomas University's Department of Human Rights, Amanda DiPaolo, the chair of St. Thomas University's Department of Human Rights, Jamie Gillies, the chair of St. Thomas University's Department of Journalism and Communications, Susan O'Donnell with Raven, and Ashlyn Albright, Jacqueline Cormier, and Angela Basse, the St. Thomas University's communications team for promoting this series. So before introducing our speaker this evening, I want to quickly announce the last speaker in our series. So on Thursday, April 7th, Caitlin Layden, a St. John-based disability rights advocate, will speak on the Axe the HIP campaign, so Axe the Household Income Policy. And she'll be talking about, her use of social media and the media around ending disability discrimination in social assistance and housing in New Brunswick. So this evening, we are fortunate to have my dear colleague and very dear friend, Siti Maimunah, joining us. I had the honor of working alongside Mai, so Siti Maimunah goes by Mai. So I had, the honor of working alongside her at the Mining Advocacy Network, JETAM, in Jakarta in the early 2000s. We shared an office in the early days of that network. She was the national mining campaigner. I was the international mining campaigner, supporting communities affected by mining, oil and gas across Indonesia, and working on such campaigns like to stop mine waste disposal in the ocean and to stop mining in protected forests. Mai would go on to become the elected national coordinator of JETAM. She's the author of numerous articles in popular magazines, these books. She doesn't know that I'm going to show her books. These books that explore mining, local knowledge, identity, ethnicity, gender in Indonesia. She's one of Indonesia's foremost and well-known mining critics. So she's a native of Jember in East Java in Indonesia. Currently, she's based in Passau, Germany, where she's a doctoral candidate focusing on feminist political ecology in comparative development and cultural studies at the University of Passau. She's also a Marie Skłodowska-Curie Fellow with the research network WIGO ITN. And her research focuses on the resource frontier, ethnicity, and gender in central Kalimantan, Indonesia. So in 2011, Mai attended a mining justice conference in Toronto, and I was able to get her to New Brunswick, where she met Penobscot residents who were in the middle of bringing forward their case to the mining commissioner. They were bringing forward their case for the loss of their water due to potash mining. Mai and many others attended one of the days of the hearing, and I recall we stood outside in a downpour outside the All Seasons Inn in Sussex, where the hearings were taking place, with our no shale gas signs and our compensate Penobscot now signs. I also met with Roger Leblanc, who recently passed away. Roger was a retired miner from Eel River Bar who blamed lead poisoning of his body and his illnesses on working in underground mines in northern New Brunswick. We met on the lawn of the New Brunswick legislature in one of the many demonstrations Roger held there to demand compensation for workplace disease, not just for himself, but all miners and workers. So whether Mai is writing books or articles that are critical of the mining industry in Indonesia, or placing her feet in cement with farmers in Java wanting to stop an unwanted cement plant in their community, her commitment to social justice and equality inspires activists in Indonesia and beyond. I can never keep up with her, and I can't imagine that I ever will. So tonight's event will be kind of a talk show or have that format. So I'm going to ask Mai some questions and she will respond. And then I'll go to 4 questions from students in my human rights and media course. I hope that I can call on those students, one of you to voice those questions. And then we will open it to questions from the audience. And so please feel free to pose a question or make a comment in the chat room at any time, and we'll do our best to address the question or the comment during the Q&A session. So welcome, Mai. Okay, so we're gonna go to our first question. So climate justice activists have been calling out the annual UN climate meetings, the COPs, the Conference of the Parties, are denouncing them as huge failures for climate action. So why did you attend COP26 in Glasgow? So tell us about the organization that you represented there and the coalitions that you joined there.
Hi, Tracy. Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Yes, I represent JATAM, Mining Advocacy Network. That is the NGO and community affected by mining, oil and gas network, established in 1995. When I was joined JATAM in 2000, I met with Tracy. So Tracy is like already there before me. So I learned from Tracy about advocacy also. So I invited by London Mining Network. So it's kind of a network of individual and NGOs who specifically have campaigning mining corporation, human rights abuse of because of mining corporation that based in UK, for example, like Rio Tinto, BHP, they intervene in the AGM meeting, for example, kind of that. So we kind of, in the past, we have like a coalition, big coalition called Mine and Communities. We have a website also on that. Because in the COP in the UK, and then London Mining Network is part of COP26 coalition, which is a big coalition in the UK who facilitating kind of like alternative meeting to COP or UNFCCC. So it's like gathering, the different voice of community, have, I think, maybe hundreds activities around the city. Is really different with the, with the COP itself, like in the specific building, guarding by the, security things. But COP coalition is like make Glasgow, the city is become, people can meet, gathering and kind of that. So I'm part of that, but I also kind of coordinating one of the meeting with the coalition called WAMA, which is Women and Mining in Asia. There is the coalition community affected, but also NGOs who support women around mining areas from Mongolia, Philippines, Indonesia, and also India and Vietnam and kind of that, Thailand. So we work together, and then we have several workshops, and also my research network, WEGO, we also have like feminist political ecology dialogue. So it's kind of not just representing Jatam, but also kind of meeting with others network there. That's and also become the reporter on the Tribunal. It's long. It's many actually.
Okay, thank you, Mai. So how important is COP26, or what is different or special about COP26, and were human rights, justice, equality primary concerns at COP26?
Okay, I actually want to bring the voice of it's not the voice, the situation by sharing. Wait, just want to share how it's feeling there actually. Most of it is just wait, this is just one. I will bring you the situation on the street actually, in the front of the formal meeting of COP, that you need to hear about this. So why is important, and is it talk about human rights? Well, you know, the fundamental thinking about the climate is human right actually, right? I mean, is about when we talk about climate change, is talk about right to life, right for security, for example, or even right for job, because no job in the dead planet, right? When there is more disaster and kind of that, right? Feel safe from disaster. I remember hear about the youth experience from Philippines about climate trauma, for example, because in the small islands, the typhoon and kind of that, Philippines is like hit often by typhoon, and that's my understanding about they call climate trauma. And also, for example, like when we talk about human rights, there is the murder in Samarinda that the children, their children, dead drowned in the abandoned coal mine pit, for example. We talk about the mother right to free from fear, for example, because thinking that more children in Samarinda will die drowned in the abandoned coal pit, and coal, fossil fuel, is the most cause of green gas house emission, for example. So you can imagine, actually the best thinking, the best aspect of climate change is actually human right, because it's not talk about emission or even like disaster itself. Climate change is the process about injustice and kind of that. It's not just suddenly come. It's like starting, even rooting from colonial. I will explain you later about it. So why is important? After of course it's important because it's like connecting us as citizen of planet, right? But after Paris Agreement in 2015, like COP21, which is, there is Paris Agreement and people agree. Even for me, it's like disturbing, yeah. Why? We kind of like put us human as center that can measuring what nature can do. Like, we need to decreasing 1.5 degrees, for example. Even we know that we cannot measuring nature. That's why climate change happened, right? But Paris Agreement in 2015 agreed that we need to put the limit of warming 1.5 degrees and then cut emission half in 2030. So COP26 actually is like the first what you call it, the first examination that every country can really seriously take the pledge actually to decreasing the temperature. But the thing is, it's well because actually the temperature at the moment is like generally 1.1 degrees increasing, and in some of the place, for example, sub-Saharan desert, it's like almost 1.5 degrees. And also what we discussed in the tribunal, what increasing is actually the, what you call it, the money, the support money, the subsidy for fossil fuels company. And then the second, there is also fueling money for military around the world. And in Indonesia, for example, it's interesting facts. Time by time, the military budget is increasing, even the police. In the same times, of course, the security increasing everywhere, which is increasing also extraction of coal mine everywhere in Indonesia. And the third, the developed country is failed to pledge to providing 100 million or billion dollars, for example, for loss and damage, which responsibility for the developing, they need to responsible to help developing countries to facing damage and the impact of climate change. So it's really important in a way, kind of like, are we serious to handle climate change? Kind of that's why it's important. Am I answer the question, Tres?
Oh, yes. Thanks, Mai. I'm just pulling up my questions here. So my next question is, climate activists have blamed the media, sometimes more than the fossil fuel companies. I think this was Bill McKibben recently said this, but yeah, they blame the media more, sometimes more than the fossil fuel companies for the climate crisis, for delaying action on the climate crisis. So what was your experience with the media during COP26? What was their role?
I think it's also the thing that I forget. This is have relation with media also. Why I came to COP, because this is the first COP under COVID, yeah. So country in the global south have difficulties to deal with in the context of capacity to vaccine and kind of that. So then, because I'm in the Germany, so and Jatam asked me to come. It's easier to make me come to UK. But the things about media, it's really important, have important role, because COP is kind of exclusive, what you call it, forum actually. Why? Because if you need to reach the meeting place, and they call blue zone and green zone. Blue zone is like, the representative of government, company and whatever, have a formal meeting there. Then you need accreditation. not everyone can have accreditation if you're not linked with the NGOs or group that have like names, list name on the UN, for example. But it's more difficult during COVID because restriction and kind of that. You even like there is the requirement that you need like isolation for in the first week, for example, which is you need more money, and the requirement even for me from Germany, I feel it's like more difficult come during the COVID. So that's why media is really important in the kind of situation. But I think it's not enough. That's why the COP coalition 26, it's really important to provide like alternative material briefing and kind of that, so then media can really covering. I mean, for example, myself, why it's important activists come, because you need to know what your government do, right? You need to watch what they doing there, because for example, sometimes media is not really connecting. For example, there is the G20 meeting in Italy before a COP, and what my president doing is like come to the Italy for the G20 meeting, and then go to the COP, and then go to the Uni Emirat Arab, for example, to have agreement on the infrastructure. So you can imagining when we talk about infrastructure, it means then we opening the land, we opening forest sometimes, and infrastructure, for example, in the context of electricity battery, for example, which is it will increasing nickel mine, kind of that. So we need to connecting or providing perspective what happened actually. Yeah. So media is important, but it's not enough if we not providing, for example, like the voice of community and kind of that. So that's kind of that. So it's important for me, for example, as activists, I also need to connect with the media in Indonesia, even in Glasgow. So for example, I was doing an interview with television, and even I write the diary in Indonesian. So then people know like really different. For example, I have a interesting experience when come to the, there is several kind of, what you call it, so there is like the place for your country in the blue zone, which is they usually like organizing meeting and kind of that. One time I visit that place, like Indonesian hut or something like that, and then I a bit shocked because when what they present is like there is the big screen with 50 names of companies there, which is supporting what they are doing in the COP. That's the first one. The second one, they usually like providing gift for people who come to discussion and kind of that. And I look for it. I got one, and then when I try to opening what it is actually, the gift from mining company, for example. So you can imagining how the governments, and even when you read the tribunals is about also criticizing how UNFCCC to close with the company, for example. So in the kind of sense, it's really important, not just media itself, but also how we feeding media, because in Indonesia, for example, all the media is owned by 12 rich family in Indonesia. So you need to provide, that's why social media is important, but also the voice, and you have interview and you try to connect with media is really important. Then it's like you need to contesting, the space of media in Glasgow and even in your country.
Thanks, Mai. So I just have one more question. My final question is, so Indonesia is a country with a long history of resource extraction. And I think many Canadians may recall the BRIEX scandal, and some are familiar with how palm oil plantations are endangering the orangutan and local people. So across the archipelago, people are experiencing the climate crisis as new extractivist frontiers are emerging. So can you tell us more about how the climate crisis is affecting your country? Tell us how extractivism is affecting your country, and how the two, the climate crisis and extractivism, are related and playing out in your country.
Sure, this is my favorite topic because it's my research topic also. So I will share presentation. I hope it's become short presentation. Okay, wait. So I just forget it, the number 4. I just want to bring that we, wherever we are, we connect with the what we call climate crisis, which is, it's not suddenly come. It's like even connecting with the colonial history, right? When you see the graphic here, how the process of increasing greenhouse emission, global warming and climate change is not kind of like, last 20 years, is 100 years, starting, during pre-industrial, during colonial and kind of that, which is that's my country experience. We have colonized by Dutch and some of the European countries. This is one of the pictures of coal mine in 1800, and this is in East Kalimantan, the first coal mine, and then below is like the first coal mine in West Sumatra. So coal mine, fossil fuel start even before, during colonial. And it's important to think the relation when we call it extractivism, because extractivism is not just, moving or extracting the huge of raw material from one place to another, but it's the matter of connection cycle between the digging process, transporting, burning, and consuming. Coal, it's not just coal, or all raw materials extracting through mining, for example. But it's also about the connection between space. For example, maybe we identified Indonesia as like, the country that extract mining, but it's extractive country, maybe we can call. But also even Canada and Germany, at the moment I base, it's also extractive country or extractive state, because they consume, the material from our country, for example. So it's important to think about that, the relations. It's like when we talk about extractive, we need to talk about, it's not just about Indonesian. And even in Indonesia itself, for example, this is island of Kalimantan. When I did my master research, and I also doing my PhD research here, most of the coal in Indonesia, it's come from Kalimantan. But most of consume is in Java, which is most the populated island. But most of extracted coal is actually exporting. What happened is, I just give you the sense how the acceleration of the you call extractivism, which is like mining is like really a grid of land, water. I will share you about the experience of Mr. Komari and and I forget the name, Nurbaiti, his wife, which is moved in this area called Makroman. This is my master research here. So you can imagine the place that people colonize in Java, the most populated island during colonial. Then there is many people poor, and then they move the government, the government moved them to another islands, for example, Kalimantan, which is the transmigration area. The place that they move is like, swamp, and they need to make the fertile agriculture. It need 20 to 30 years. But in 2000, Samarinda, this is the capital city of the province of Kalimantan. It's become 71% of area become coal mine concession. And then what happened, the area, the transmigration area, it's become coal mine concession. 2004, the company tried to have exploration, and then 2006, starting to extraction the hill, the coal, and 2008, there is the first flood come hit the village down the hill. So you can imagine, when we talk about extractivism, we not just talk about we talk about how it's really quick the destruction happened. So in 2015, this area become like this, with 8 abandoned coal pit. 2 months ago, 1 people died in the drowning in the abandoned coal pit. But it's not just when we talk about coal. We need then bring to the cycle of the extractivism of the mining, because after extracting, they bring to the coal power plant, which is coal power plant usually in the coastal area, and it's give impact to the fisher folk in the context of dust, but also because they change the coastal, and even they kind of what you call it, discharge the hot water from the process, so it makes fish go far away from that area, and even the fisher folk cannot enter the area because it's guarding by security, by military. That's in the context of coal power plants. But then we also bring what the coal power plant use. But before that, I will come to these things. So Indonesia is most of exporting, the biggest exporting thermal coal in the world, and most of it, the extracting of coal is on 60% of coal extracting in Indonesia. It's owned by 10 companies. 10 companies, it's not just Indonesian companies, but also transnational companies. So when you talk about land that have permit for mining, it means they will change the land that I told you before about the story. But it's not just of that, because this is the company that have power, and some of them also become the legislative member, for example. I pointing about KPC, no, maybe it's not KPC, Adaro, KPC, okay. KPC mine is one of the biggest coal mine in Indonesia, and the owner is the former minister, for example, in the past. Or even Adaro mine, some of the family that own the Adaro is become the coordinator of economic minister at the moment. So you can imagine how is actually extractivism. It also affects how the structure, the political structure in my country, for example. that's we call, there is at the moment in Indonesia, we have like oligarch, extractive oligarch, which is how the business and the parliaments and the government is like blur the distance of it. This is the pictures. I told you about Adaro and Kapichi, which is they also contribute to the change of mining regulation in Indonesia. When Tracy mentioned about you know, the proposed mining in protected areas in 2000, some of the company try to change their success to change actually the regulation of forestry regulation, which is you know, they ban open pit mining in protected areas, but they make intervene even the Canadian companies, and then they success to change the regulation. Now all mining can you know, have open pit mining in Indonesia. So then we talk about also not just coal power plant, what coal power plant use. I bring you the experience about the nickel mine. So at the moment we talk about just transition, we talk about new renewable energies, which is new renewable energies also need battery for saving the energy. And then the battery is need nickel. At the moment, there is increasing nickel mine in Iran, Indonesia. So then people in the coastal is not just suffer from coal power plant, but also from nickel mine, because the coal power plant mostly is not used for the community, but used for the nickel mine. This is from the Guardian about the small island called what the name of island? Obi Island. The Guardian mentions about there is the village is about the 4,000 population, and then 900 of it already have respiratory problem. 400 of it is baby that have respiratory problems because of nickel mine. So, and they just operate maybe 5 years. And in the context of small island, you can imagine it's difficult for them to move because it's just only land that they have. It's not like Canada, for example, like big land and kind of that. A small island, they even have limitation of forest, water, and kind of that. And this is the owned by Chinese, but some of the island also, some of the nickel mine also owned by European countries, a company from the European, for example. So that's the relation. This is Weda Bay. You can see the gray square is the mining concession. So I bring the connection is just not about how the company affects, but how also the relation with the climate change, because the energy issue, the land degradation, forest degradation is the most contribution of or to the climate change. So what relation with the climate crisis? You can see here there is increasing the disaster in Indonesia, which relate with the climate. This is in 2019 or starting in 2003, it's just 100, and then increasing 1,000, and then now it's like almost 2 times from 2019, which is extreme weather, change the rainfall pattern. And that's why Indonesian governments use the reason of this plan to move to the capital city of Indonesia to another island, which is not the point actually, because it means then it's like hit and run, but actually it's Kalimantan, the place that they become the capital city of Indonesia, new capital city, is also suffer from extractive industries and also climate. That's the relation, Tracy. I hope it's answer your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Mai.
Hey, Andrew here. So Andrew Hickman is from London Mining Network. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Andrew. So I'm gonna just maybe what I'll do as I can voice that question for Petra and Emma. So their question is, one of the measures of redress that the jury for the People's Tribunal that Mai participated in was that the UNFCCC be disbanded and rebuilt from the ground up. Do you think that this will be successful? And they say, while it is a hopeful aspiration, it seems that one cannot exclude the polluters of our earth when those polluters are some of the most powerful countries and institutions in the world.
Yeah, well, the important thing is not successful or not yet, but the fact that UNFCCC fell is important to bring, actually, to pointing to point it of it, because people like take it for granted about UNFCCC, which is like, okay, there is the body of UN that handle about climate change, which is fell. That's important. What tribunals, people tribunals bring. The next is, I think it's need how to influence, the publics about that, because this is like aspiration of civil society outside the COP, actually, right? So people tribunal is like mocking court, actually, because the things that we protest or we critiques, they're not really take seriously. For example, time by time, it's already like COP26, like 26 years, more than 26 years when we talk about climate change issues. So it's kind of, even for me as activists, like when the tribunal said, the UNFCCC is failed, for example, it's kind of give more what you call it, confidence, the way who thinking about what we're doing at the moment. We need to like raising more voice, actually. I believe that because okay, we have a COP, we actually climate change discussed in the COP, kind of that. So we need to kind of disturb that kind of thinking. We're not okay, actually, at the moment. That actually the message of the tribunal before we talk about, is it possible or not, or is it success or not to in the context of implementation. Of course, it will not implement if the state or people not push back more, giving more push in the context of these things.
Okay, thank you, Mai. So I was just seeing if maybe we'll go to Jordan and Darian's question. Jordan, do you want to voice that?
Hi, Jordan.
Hello.
Hello.
So our question was, in what ways do multinational mining corporations affect climate change and the people who live in the global south? And are there any systems in place that can help to regulate these corporations' behaviors?
Okay, I hope try again in a few seconds. I hope my presentation already answered that. If not, you can explore more later. Is there any regulation that regulate this corporation behavior? At the moment, there is in the UN, there is the business and human right, kind of starting to talk about business and human right things, but it's voluntary. There is in each country, there is the regulation, for example, like if companies start to have to mine or whatever project, they need to do environmental impact assessment, for example. And usually the companies always talk that, oh, we're following the country regulation, for example. The thing is, I told you that sometimes because the company is like big power, in my country, for example, they can push to change the regulation in the context of, mining ban and protected area. And they're not even like hiding about that. They really kind of come to the parliament member, have hearing, push them, even treating them. For example, oh, it will, decreasing the investment on mining, kind of that. And also, of course, the weak political system in our country, the corruption, for example, that makes a wake of regulation. So in the context of, is there any regulation that can really control them? Of course, it depends in each country. But the thing is, most of the extraction of mining, it's happened in the global south. So it's difficult to have that. For example, when it's kind of, the relation is not based on, is it the regulation strong or not? It sometimes depends on the global market, the demand of the materials itself. For example, nickel at the moment, there is increasing. Then what happened in Indonesia, there is the change regulation to make, to awakening the environmental impact assessment, actually. So that's the reality. There is no regulation strictly can control mining company at the moment. I think what the important thing is not just regulation we need to see, but how the people resistance, the people like protesting and awareness between people. But I think it's really important to things because our life is about the cycle of production and consumption, which is, I want to bring that in the next level, how we not just talk about state, but we talk about the civil society as the community that can connect each other, because even maybe you not have experience, live in the, near nickel mine or country like Indonesia, some way, Jordan, you connect with me in the context of Canada or others country, consuming our mineral, for example, or from others countries. So it's really important to think about that. Then you can think about how your country actually also regulating the way how your government and your company also doing in our country, for example. So it's need to think not just in country like Indonesia, but you need to think also how to your country, for example, also regulating your home company to not neglecting and to more have responsible to extracting raw materials in others country.
Thank
Is
you,
it enough, Jordan? I don't know if you feel more.
Oh yeah, that was good. Thank you.
I'm going to put, related to what Mai just said, so two private members' bills by NDP MPs were tabled in Parliament yesterday or the day before around corporate accountability in Canada. So I'll get that queued up and put it in the chat room. So the next question is from Caitlin and sorry, I'm just trying to find this here. Caitlin and Valerie. And they asked me to voice it. So in class, we learned about your activism with mine-affected communities, including with mothers whose children died by drowning in abandoned coal mine pits, just like what you talked about earlier. What should be done to solve the most egregious issues of coal mining, like the dangerous abandoned mining pits?
It's difficult question actually. Well, in the community and activists doing a lot of work, actually advocacy. For example, they bring the governments to the court, but we won in the first court, and then but we lost in the Supreme Court, for example. So it's like long battle. The thing is, it's difficult when I told you that when the province really depend on the extractives, it's they neglected the security of the people. So you can imagine when we talk about climate crisis, in a community is not just facing the climate crisis itself, but also the cause of climate crisis. You know, for example, in the context of coal mine, people get impact from coal mine, but they also get impact from the climate crisis. So it's like double actually. But the thing with the woman, they get more double because, for example, when a mother's the children died in the coal pit, for example, she will accused by the community because they think she is not responsible mother in you know, because the children died in the coal pit, and even accused by the community and the family of the husband, for example. So I just give you example is the complex problems surrounding around the mining area, which is, it's not just talk about the extraction of coal mine. It's like the link, the relation with the people in that area is cannot solve without stopping the mine actually. But the things when the mines become like, you know, the government decided that the mine become the most supporting economy in that area, then the people's security, it will left behind. So what people do at the moment, for example, I know the mother, for example, like come to his son school, and then ask to the teacher that they want to speak with the student. So then she come to one class to another and speak to them. Do not playing or come near the, you know, abandoned coal pit. To remind them, to warn the student that they will die maybe. Or every Thursday, activists always have protests in the front of the governor palace to remind them about the case every Thursday. So I mean, people, even in the kind of situation that I told you, it's not like quiet. They protest every time, kind of that. So I just give you spirit or the sense we are here is not just quiet, like, you know, okay, we accept this situation. No, people everywhere concerns about climate crisis in a different way. Even when I in Glasgow, I met a woman's, this is Andrew friend called Lucy. She's like painting something. I show you, this is the what Lucy making, sorry, because my background is, I need to show you these things. So see, painting the situation in the, oh, I actually have the picture of it. Wait, I will show you. Where's it? This is really important, because it's just like giving idea what we can do actually as you know, to how to contribute in that kind of situation. Wait, Tres, I just try to find where is the I show you the what I mean. This is the way how also people outside can do. Okay, so this is what Lucy doing. This is Lucy. Okay, so this is Lucy, Andrew friends. So I met her standing in the front of the you know, formal meeting COPs, and then drawings something. So this is what she draw. Sorry. Oh, sorry. So this is the tribunal. People sitting together, speak, and kind of that. But she's also drawing me, you know, the right side. I just imagine that I believe that people, whoever they are, whatever they do, they can contribute with the things that they love, like even like drawing or doing something that they can do, for example. So I mean, it's not. I just want to share that the situation in Samarinda about the, you know, the children died, it's not depend on just them, but also depend on us, wherever we are, that feel connected and care about ourselves and others people. For example, like even discuss or even thinking about that or express that in the way. At the moment, I did with the groups in you know, my network research called WEGO. We have exhibition. So it started in 2019. We call Extracting Us exhibition, which is we make exhibition about the coal mine that you mentioned, together with the University of Brighton. So we have also postcard, which is ask the visitor, if they feel they need to support people, they can send the postcard to the mother, even to the sending to the president or minister. We provide the address for them. So that also kind of connection that we need to think actually in the future.
Thank you, Mai. So the last question from the students, and then if the audience has a question, please ask. I think Tessa is going to voice the question.
Yeah, hi. What do you think is a meaningful way for students to get involved in climate change?
Well, it's many. I mean, imagining before, I mean, maybe I already told you about the example, Lucy, and kind of that. But I just want to bring you in the context of metaphor of second body. You know, you have your own body, right? but your body is not separating from me, for example, because we breathe in the same atmosphere and kind of that. That make me thinking. I have my body. This is my physically body, but my second body is somewhere outside my body, which is maybe someone, women or whatever, around mining area, or maybe bird somewhere, which is because bird also like breathing the same atmosphere. So I just want to bring you the metaphor of second body. We actually not just have our, our own body. We actually have multi-body, which is maybe nature, maybe outside us, which is we are also part of the nature, right? So I would like to bring you in the imagination of body territory, which is you have your body, but maybe we connect, Tessa, you and me have connection because we are in the big territory called the earth, for example. So you are become my second body, maybe, or somewhere, kind of that. So by that, I think many things we can do actually. When I talk about the cycle of extractivism, which is the cycle of production and consumption, we are the consumer. We actually decided what we need to eat and what we need to choose to consume, right? So that's the responsibility of our body actually. But what the responsibility to our second body or our territory actually, there is many things we can do. As collective, not, of course, it's not just individual, for example. There is many space, I believe, in the academies that you can organize yourself, starting even like, your research topic, when you're writing the paper, for example, or even like, have organizing the different events, which is how you can support others, which it means you support yourself actually in a way. And imagining that territory is not just, around yourself, but also we need to think when we talk about climate crisis, the atmosphere, the climate is connecting us with others, maybe in Indonesia or others that suffer from the extraction of, the things that we consume. It means we need to think about we consume. And when we talk about renewable energy, we feel that, oh, it's really right talk about renewable energy, because we need renewable energy. But the thing is, do we think about new renewable energy to substitute the old one, or we need to decreasing our consumption? It's really big difference, because when we talk about, okay, we just replacing the fossil fuel, it means we need to increasing the consume of energy, whatever it is come from, which is it also will suffering the country like Indonesia, because then there is increasing the demand of the nickel for battery, for car, for kind of that. So it's like the same pattern actually. So yeah, I mean, there is many things that we can do, starting by ourselves. I just like when you're doing yoga, you're starting with your body. You need to come to the limit, right? When you move in your body, how your body even cannot doing that moving, but our body is flexible, right? You need to starting you know, the small thing, and then it's like kind of exercise, and then, well, together, I think you can do anything to in the context of climate justice, for example.
Okay, thanks, Mai. I see Isabella has announced that there's the Fridays for the Future climate strike that was supposed to happen last Friday, but Fredericton had bad weather, so it's happening this Friday, tomorrow, 11:30, in front of the New Brunswick Legislature. Thanks, Isabella. Are there any questions from the audience? You can put up your hand or put it in the chat room. Thanks, Robin. So Robin, I don't know if you want to voice that or you want me to. Yeah, she's in my environmental practice class. I'd like to know how climate change has affected food security in Indonesia.
Well, Indonesia is island, archipelago island. The first, how it's impacting food security. The big project, for example, like there is the good facts. In 2003 to 2013, there is 5 million household, agriculture household, farmer or peasant household, change their livelihood, not depend on the agriculture anymore. Why? Because most of the land is changed to others. You can name it, like, you know, oil palm, fossil fuels project, and kind of that. In Samarinda, most of the agriculture area is changed to the coal mine. So when it's related with the climate change, the agriculture is threatened by the cause of climate crisis, which is coal, for example, or even the coal power plant in the coastal, because fish is depend on the fisher folk, right? The second layer, the second example is in the small islands, which is it's really hit by a climate crisis because some of the island is really dry. So sometimes they have longer dry, or sometimes they have longer rainy season, which is unpredictable. Some of them they call like cheating rain. For example, there is the phenomena of cheating rain. What it means, you know, rains kind of like normal, or even like more rain, but it's not like stable. It's like stop just suddenly. So it's like, it means cheating. It's like, you know, because it's like suddenly stop. So then it makes the seed die, actually, because the seed is not enough water, because the rain is like quick coming and quick go. So that's one of it. So, you know, it's not just about the land, it's also about the water itself, because at the moment there is the I just give you example, one village in East Kalimantan, which is the water is completely polluted because coal mine. More than that, people not feel secure because when it's flooding, the crocodile from the river come to the village, for example. There is the case in one village, there is already 11 people died because the attacked by crocodile. So, I mean, you can imagining the complex and situation that make farmer not secure the land or even the water, but also they're not secure to come to the land. And another problem is also the farmer is not get enough support in the context of you know, the harvest, the result, because it's cheap when they're selling to the market. Why? Because Indonesia is like you know, we are the most populated I think in Southeast Asia, half of the population is Indonesian. So we are like the place for extracting raw material, but also it's like the big market for product like China, for example, which is cheaper, which is also give problem in you know, the what you call it, free trade and kind of that. It's also make the farmer suffering for the market price of their harvest, for example. So that also the situation.
Okay, thank
And you know, at the moment, right, there is people. Indonesia is like the biggest exporter of oil palm, and at the moment we have a crisis of you know, oil for cooking oil. You can imagine how is it? I mean, what the logic actually? We just spend 25% of oil palms production and 75% for export. But why cooking oil is difficult and even like empty in the market? Some mother died because like long queue and, you know, rush because of kind of situation. So that's also the food you know, food security things relating with the oil palms causing climate crisis, and you know, it's more complex actually, the situation at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
I hope it's answer your question, Robin.
Thanks, Mai. So I'm not seeing any more questions. I'm just gonna, so thank you, Mai, for the great talk. I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna do that.